Hi, this is Sudhir. This is C#.NET if-else and else-if condition tutorial. In C#.NET, if you are writing multiple lines of code and if you want to execute some of the lines of code based on some conditions, that means if you have two statements, if the condition is true, you want to execute the first statement, and if the condition is false, you want to execute the second statement. And in that scenarios, you can use if-else condition. So if the condition is true, the statement 1 will be executed, and if the condition is false, it goes to the second part, that is else part, and the statement 2 will be executed. This type of things will happen if you are using if-else condition. So you can see the syntax for if condition looks like this. If condition, in the braces you have to write the statement 1, else again in the flower braces you have to write the statement 2. One of the two statements will be executed. The code looks like this. I have taken a variable int I. In that I want to keep some number which is given by the user, so I am going to write convert.toInt32 of. He is going to enter some number which I am going to take using readline, and I am going to place in I. And I also use console.writeLine here to show some message to the user saying enter number. After I got the number into I am using if condition here. If I greater than 0, that means if the user entered a number which is greater than 0, I'm going to print console.writeLine of positive. If the condition is failed, then I'm going to print console.writeLine is negative because it is not greater than 0. So this is possible using if else condition. We also have else if conditions in C#. In this type, the compiler first goes to if condition. If it is false, it goes to the next if condition, which can be written in else if. Else if means one more if condition. Like that, you can add multiple else if conditions in your program. If all the if and else if conditions are failed, at that time it will go for the else condition. For example, if you have three statements, statement 1, statement 2 and statement 3 as shown in this pseudocode here. If the condition 1 is satisfied, it will execute statement 1 and it will comes out of the if conditions. If the condition 1 is failed, then it will try for the second one. It will check for this condition 2. If it is satisfied, statement 2 will be executed out of the 3. Otherwise, in another scenario, if both the condition fails, at the time what happens is first it will come for if condition, it will check for condition 1, as it is failed it will go for else if, it will check for condition 2, if it is also fails it will go for else condition. But last else condition is not mandatory. So if all the conditions fails and if the else condition is not there, no statement will be printed. So here we have some example code for else if conditions. I have taken a variable int I. I printed some message using console.writeLine to the user so that he is going to enter some number. Whatever he has entered, I have read it using console.readLine, which is string type is converted into toInt32 and placed in I. Now in variable I, I'll have the number which user has entered. Now I'm going to check it with if and else if conditions. If the number is greater than 0, the first condition will be satisfied, then it is going to print as positive. If he has entered a number which is not greater than 0, then it will go for else condition. If it is less than 0, that means if it is a negative number, it will print negative. Otherwise, if both the conditions is satisfied, which happens if the user enters a number 0, at that time the both conditions will be failed and it will go for else condition and 0 text will be printed on the output screen. So like this, you can use else if conditions, which is more if conditions to your program. So I'm going to show the example demo for this. So I'm going to open my Visual Studio. In that I have a console application. It's a main method. In that I'm going to write a code for the if else condition first. I'm going to take a variable int I. I'm going to print some message on the output screen as enter number. So that user will enter some number. Whatever user enters, I have to take it into I by converting into toInt32. So whatever user enters, I'm going to read it using console.readLine. Now I have the number in I. Now I'm going to use an if condition here if I greater than 0. I'm going to print some text as positive. I'll also have an else condition here. If I is not greater than 0, I'm going to print as negative. You can see if else condition used like this. If the condition is satisfied, the first statement will be executed. If it is failed, the else statement will be executed. At the end I'm going to write console dot read key, so that the output screen will stay till I press a key, so that I can see some output there. So enter number, the first line of code is executed. So I want to enter some number. I want to enter some number as 6. So you can see it's a positive number because the first if condition is satisfied. If I greater than 0, 6 is greater than 0, so positive is printed. If first statement is executed, after this it will come out of the if condition, it will not execute the else condition because one of that will be executed. Now I'll execute one more scenario. I'll enter number as -7, so that it is printing negative because the if condition is failed, so it is going for else condition and the else condition is executed. So this is how if else will be working. Now if you want, for example, I'm going to execute this. I'm going to enter a value as 0. You can see 0 is entered by the user. The if condition will fail. 0 is not greater than 0. So what happens is it is printing negative, but it is not the real context. 0 is not a negative number because we have only two conditions, either greater than 0 or it fails. Now if you want to keep more conditions at the time, you can use else if conditions. You can check the else if condition. You are going to write whether it is less than 0 or not. So if the value is less than 0, you can print it as negative. Otherwise, if both the condition fails, means user has entered a value as 0. At that time only you have to print 0 as the text. Now you can see if user enters some positive number, then it is positive. If this condition fails, it will go for the negative. 0 is less than, I is less than 0. If a negative number, this will be executed. If both the condition fails, that means it is not greater than 0, it is not less than 0. That means else condition will be executed saying it's a 0. I'm going to test this code. First I'll enter a positive number. The first if condition will be satisfied. It is printing as positive. I'm going to enter a negative number. Else if condition will be executed. You can see else if is I less than 0 because the first condition will be failed. You can see it's a negative. Now if you enter 0, both if and else if will be failed. At the time it is printing 0 now because we have if, else if and else condition as well. Else condition is printing 0 now. So this is how else if conditions can be used to add multiple conditions to your program. Like this I have used here to add 2 conditions to my program.